Hi, I'm Dan Gable with Shore Murphy and Associates of Casey, and this is another episode of Big Agent in a Small Town. In this episode, we're going to discuss waivers of subrogation. So, first question: what is a waiver of subrogation? And if you look in your insurance policy, you will normally see that your insurance carrier has what's called subrogation rights. What that means is if they pay out a claim, they can pursue a party that was also responsible for the incident and try to recover damages from them for the claim that they've paid. What a waiver of subrogation does is it takes away the insurance company's rights to pursue the entity that is named in the waiver of subrogation. So it's pretty common to see a waiver of subrogation requirement in construction contracts between general contractors and their subcontractors, but you'll also see them for service providers, distributors, things like that as well too. And there are two lines of insurance where you can see a request for a waiver of subrogation, which are general liability and workers' comp. So first off, with general liability, an example of where a waiver of subrogation can come into play is, let's say you're an electrical contractor and you're at a job site doing work, and someone gets injured on the job site, and let's say it's actually due to someone trips over materials that were left out by the general contractor, but you get sued since you were the person on site doing work at the time. Normally, your insurance company would most likely pay out a bodily injury claim on your general liability, and then they would pursue the general contractor for their negligence since they had left out the building supplies and property that the person tripped over and got injured. If there was a waiver of subrogation in place, this would mean your insurance company would not be able to pursue the general contractor's insurance, and they would just eat the expense of that claim. As far as the cost of a waiver of subrogation on general liability, it varies by carrier, but it's going to be anywhere from probably $25 on the low end to $100 on the high end. The good news is a lot of policies will have some kind of what's called a general liability plus or extension endorsement. Many times on that plus or extension endorsement, it will include an automatic waiver of subrogation on general liability when it is required by written agreement. So a lot of times that's no additional cost added to your policy if it is as part of a written agreement that you've entered. The next time a waiver can come in is on workers' comp insurance. And an example I can give of on workers' comp where a waiver of subrogation can come in is, let's say that you are a distributor and you're making a delivery to a client's business. And in Illinois, our winters, we can have a lot of ice and snow sometimes. Let's say that business has not cleared the ice and snow well. Your employee slips and falls and has an injury. Since it was in the course of work, it's going to fall under your workers' comp. Normally, your workers' comp carrier could potentially subrogate and go after the business who had not cleared their ice and snow properly. If there's a waiver of subrogation in place for that business, then your insurance company would not be able to pursue that subrogation. So that's where it can come in on workers' comp. The cost of a waiver of subrogation on workers' comp is more pricey. Depending on the carrier, it's normally $100 to $250 for one waiver of subrogation. If you have to have multiple waivers of subrogation for different agreements, I definitely recommend having in a blanket waiver of subrogation on your workers' comp, where anytime it is required or by written agreement, that you do automatically have that waiver of subrogation coverage. One more important thing to note on waivers of subrogation is they do not benefit your business. They benefit the business that is getting the waiver. And normally the only reason you would want to do it is because it's a contractual requirement. But understandably, there are times that you have to do it, again, to enter a business agreement. But it's something you want to avoid if possible. Well, if you have any questions on waivers of subrogation, please reach out to me by phone or text at 217-932-2267, or by email to Dan, D-A-N, at Shore Murphy Casey, SHOREMURPHYCASEY.com. Thank you.